Internets, hello you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1, which just aired today. I am so happy this show is back. I loved the first season, but I got to be a fan more as the show progressed. This was actually one I was really highly anticipated coming back. Before we actually get into it though, please hit that subscription bell, rapidly approaching 50k. When we hit 50k, I'm going to do a 50 comic giveaway because this page is all about comic books, movies, and TV. I review all of the above as well as give you lots of movie, TV, and comic book news every single week. I'll be covering this show every week up until the finale. It is premium TV. We are back to glorious golden age of television quality material. Also, press the like while you're pressing buttons and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this episode and the show generally, but please, I have not seen or played part 2. I've played a little bit of part 1. This is coming from the lens of a very casual The Last of Us fan, so this is probably going to inspire the wrong sort of comments, but please, let's keep the conversation spoiler-free from this point on. So this episode, full spoilers, but nothing that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, because I'm really hoping to watch this show as it comes out. So let's talk all about Episode 1. This show reminds you immediately what premiere TV can be. It feels so lived in, it feels rich. You are immediately diving right back into that world. It takes place the moment we left off in Season 1, and then we get a bit of world building with new characters. We get some context. We meet a character named Abby, who I've only heard about through the hype around this show. I've seen her on like game covers. I know very little about this character, but I love the actress they cast. She is so good in so many things, including Booksmart. She's someone that's been my Kitty Pryde fan casting for quite some time. I love her strength while being vulnerable. I love her intelligence, and all of that seems to be coming to play here as a seeming antagonist. We've got a number of other Fireflies, or seemingly supporting Fireflies, basically coming at Joel and Ellie, and that is just one string of the antagonism. As we see at the very end, it looks like the world is closing in on them, and I love the imagery of this group of Fireflies 5 years later, this antagonistic group that's been hunting them, encroaching on the territory just as the mushrooms, that organic material that's been corrupting is also crawling in as well. Love that they up the stakes by having this very intelligently show us a capable Ellie. I love when a show can show the escalation of a character with a time jump by showing like, oh, remember the stakes of last time you saw them? Well, those stakes wouldn't be nearly as high now because we've upped them and they've trained accordingly, so we've got to introduce new things. So that, to me, is this new type of zombie character. Again, I haven't played the second game. I only played some of the first game because it was set in Boston. I'm a Boston boy. But I really liked in the first game that the world building felt so possible, like the science felt very probable, and I'm really curious what a more intelligent evolution of that seemingly somewhat probable version of a zombie would be, because mushrooms are, in our planet, such a dominant force, such a dominant organism, and we know so little about them. Like the crazy mushrooms, the lion's mane healthy mushrooms, your day-to-day, put them on pizza mushrooms. There is so much of that organic matter, so when they use that to play around with the concept of zombieism and that rapid spread and the spores and all that, I was, enamored with these concepts. Now I'm really curious what that means for this evolution. Is it a different part of the brain that's being corrupted? What does it mean that they can stalk? What does it mean that we get to experience somewhat intelligent? Plus the screams, they weren't clicking. It was human. It was guttural. It was less animalistic. Even their eyes less animalistic. I mean, she had a face. All of this very fascinating. That the teeth, is that going to be something Ellie is also immune to? Or is it a different strain of mushroom, as I just described? Like, your psilocybin, your portobello, your lion's mane. There's so many types of mushroom. Is this strain going to affect her differently? Is she going to be not immune? Fascinated by all that. Also, I talked about the Firefly extended characters at the top, but I'm also really excited to see the extended characters we meet that are actually in the town. We get the incredible Isabela Merced in this episode introduced. Isabela Merced is on an insane tear. Whether it's, her work in Alien Romulus, whether it's her work in Dora the Explorer, which she was great in, whether it's the upcoming Superman where she's Hawkgirl, this girl's career is like checking the boxes of exactly what you want to be as a young actor. She's doing a huge tent pole. She's doing indies at the same time. She's doing one of the biggest shows on TV, and it's because she's this good. She is so effortlessly charming. She's so funny. She's able to, go toe-to-toe with, we haven't talked about Pedro Pascal yet. We're about to go in toe-to-toe with Pedro Pascal, being charming and likable, being clearly a friend to everyone, a little more than a friend to Ellie, but also like playing the, I want to be on Joel's side, I want to help Joel, but not betraying Ellie at the same time. Her loyalty is to Ellie, but we see how good of a person is by how she treats Joel and being a teenager, knowing that, you know, all the hormones and craziness of like hating your dad and still trying to be a diplomatic middle ground, trying to invite Ellie to, you know, movie night, trying to bring all those things together. And I love, again, how lived in the world feels, because the pop culture references, it feels like there's an inside joke amongst everyone. Loving that. Diego Luna as the brother of Pedro Pascal's character of Joel, his role in the first season was so interesting because we really built to a point where now I love having that brotherly bond even behind the scenes, and I'm really excited to see how that works out. I think he's so interesting. I love his relationship with Ellie just in that shooting range scene. I love that it feels like an uncle. I love how paternal it feels. I love him running, you know, the council in his own way. Really impressed with the limited screen time we had with him, how immediately I was like, what's Diego Luna been up to? Where's this going to go? How's his leadership? Let's talk about Joel, however. Clearly aged him up a bit. It's really fascinating to think about where Pedro Pascal was in the pop culture zeitgeist. He was well known. He was already Pedro Pascal, but he was like, oh, that guy from blankety blank. Like, he was about to do Wonder Woman 2, which, you know, the movie not being great notwithstanding, did elevate his profile. Obviously, Last of Us Season 1 made him a household name, but, like, he'd already been in Kingsman. He'd already been in lots of things where you're like, I know that guy's face, but he wasn't Pedro, I'm going to be everywhere and everything ever Pascal yet, because Last of Us Season 1 was a huge part of that first onslaught of so much Pedro. It's crazy to have the time jump of how we associate with Pedro Pascal, if you aren't as, like, you know, familiar with his work before The Last of Us, up until this point where we've seen him in so many great things, and that's really escalated. Obviously, Game of Thrones being where a lot of people first discovered him, such a different role, like that charming, violent role versus this charming, violent, but quiet and subdued, doesn't want to be violent role, like a different tiers. And now this different take altogether on Joel, where it's aged up and he's mature and he's navigating being a father. He's accepted being a father. It's not as reluctant. It's just, I'm a father, but he's also like so clearly aged. And it's really interesting to see the melancholy and the sorrow, and he just wants to connect to Ellie, but the, you know, the moments that happened at the end of season 1, how that's ever going to work out or not, and what that means for her and his relationship, and what that means for his relationship with the community. And he's clearly a leader of sorts, and the responsibilities he has are crazy, but like, how does he weigh all that? And obviously, you know, he was slowing down in the first season 5 years ago. He was already, you know, aging out of the action element, so now visibly seeing him age. And it's going to be really hard because, you know, Ellie treating him like that, obviously you care so much about Joel, it hurts you to see the teenage side of like, you're not my dad, or, you know, just the lashing out, like, I don't need your help. And you get where she's coming from, because she is, I mean, they made it clear, like, she doesn't want a man to do the work for her. She is capable, she's strong, and she wants to stand on her own 2 feet. She wants to trudge her own path, and no one is letting her to the scale she wants to. Now, she is still, you know, a kid to a point, but at the same time, it's also a zombie apocalypse. And it's also being a teenager. Like, every teenager feels like the world's against them. Every teenager feels like no one lets them do what they want. Here, the stakes are higher because it's life and death and zombies. So it's really cool to see that in such a natural way, but it's also going to be very hard for you as a viewer, for me as a viewer, to be like, oh, right, a teenager yelling at her dad, but I love that dad, so you be nice to him. And I'm curious how that escalates. And it ends very dramatically with, you know, her walking in the garage and him playing the guitar and all these things that feel just like a video game. Like, I can see these cutscenes in my mind. There were scenes in the action in the grocery store where they were panning, and I was like, I bet that's right out of the game. The way you navigate the world, the way it's framed, the way it's directed, all of it feels right out of a video game in all the best ways, while not feeling like, I don't personally enjoy watching other people play and then watch cutscenes. That's not entertaining to me. This doesn't feel like that, while still feeling authentically like you're navigating a video game with the framing, the decisions made, the style choices. Love it. You know, The Last of Us is back. Very excited for the show to be back. Really enjoyed everything about what we got back out of this. I really just think having a mature commentary on parenting and you know, adoption and relationships and world building and the pressure of humanity at a boilerplate moment, you know, in humanity when they're trying to regrow a world, and what it means to let refugees in, what it means to be a refugee when the world is on fire, or when the world isn't on fire, what it means to be lost and we're all human, and the border conversation of what it means to let people into your community and how much you have at stake. It's incredible to have genre content give us all these real life questions and real life morality conversations in a zombie show with mushroom stuff. So that is going to be it for my thoughts on episode 1. What did you think? Let me know in the conversation in the comments below. Let's have a conversation in the comments below. Also, press that like so the algorithm likes this video. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscription bell. Very excited to hit 50K with this. All right, I will see you all next week, next Sunday for The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. I will see you this Tuesday for the season finale of Daredevil Born Again. I will see you next Tuesday for Andor Season 2. So I'm going to be finishing up Daredevil this week. I'm going to be going right into Andor thereafter. So Andor and The Last of Us are going to be simultaneously Tuesdays and Sundays. And in between that, covering lots and lots of movies. Going to have a How to Train Your Dragon 2 review up when the embargo drops. Going to have an Accountant 2 review up as soon as I can. Lots of stuff coming on this very page. So please also watch the Sinners review I just did. Like, subscribe, comment. I will talk to you guys soon. And thanks for joining me in this journey. I'm excited for Last of Us with you. Bye.